It looks like the searcher who found Jay's body 2 days before it was announced and tipped off the Tenerife police as to where Jay's body was called out using footage he tried to delete. And this footage possibly shows links to the criminal underworld in Tenerife. Now, this searcher has left the internet. So what could this possibly mean in the quest for justice for Jay? Let's investigate this together, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell. So the searcher who knew where Jay's lifeless body was 2 days before it was announced in the British press has just left the internet after resurfaced videos show a possible connection to the dark underworld that allegedly exists in Tenerife. Chris allegedly deleted these videos and he didn't want us to see them.
Do you know how much I need likes? This is how much I need likes.
Can't like that.
That's how much I need likes. I'll do what I want on my video. TikTok. You'll bend over and take it over the backside for TikTok. Because you got no backbone. What are you going to do, TikTok? I was taking over countries at 22 years old. I was getting rid of dictators at 22 years old. What are you going to do to me?
The title of this video reads, quote, seems to be on some, end quote. And Chris, I mean, he's talking about how he took over authorities, which is similar to how substance dealers in Tenerife have taken over law enforcement, which we'll get to in a bit. One of the last people to see Jay alive was this convicted substance dealer named Ayoub. The dealer called out a YouTuber on their TikTok. Then Chris, the guy we just watched, commented on the dealer's TikTok calling out this YouTuber and said that the YouTuber, quote unquote, lies. So he's sort of like jumping on this bandwagon to defame this YouTuber. Cybersleuths have suggested that the reason for Chris trying to undermine people who are talking about the case is because Chris and the dealer are friends and are trying to discredit Cybersleuths, who are getting way too close to the truth and having a closer look at the people who last saw Jay alive. One user wrote, quote, I truly believe Chris was involved with Jay, and I think Jay was deleted, end quote. The Cybersleuth goes on to allege that they think he is the top, quote, plug in Tenerife, and Ayoub works for him, and they use young ravers to sell their product, end quote. So this person, the searcher, Chris, gave a video to Wax Unfiltered on YouTube in an attempt to debunk the conspiracies about Jay Slater's passing. In this video, he says that the timeline Lucy and Brad gave the media and the authorities was accurate, and that Jay went off the road at 8:30 in the morning, then walked for 20 minutes where his phone last pinged at 8:50 a.m. Chris said in this clip that Jay called both Jay and Lucy at 8:30 in the morning. And I'm not sure how you can call two people at the same time, but let's watch what Chris has to say.
To get from here through that thicket to just in front of that palm tree took me 20 minutes.
Wow. Oh, it looks closer than we think, right?
When he last called Lucy.
So that means he had 20 minutes from this point when he got off the phone to Brad. He had 20 minutes to get to that palm tree.
I sent the screenshot. It was 20 minutes later.
So the screenshot was 20 minutes later. Why did he not use this time for them to come and pick him up? I don't understand. Why is no one asking these questions? Why couldn't they have picked him up? He wasn't 10 hours away. In a car, it was half an hour.
His attempt to try to debunk these conspiracies backfired royally. He's just trying to make it seem normal that Jay walked into this ravine when he could have easily just gotten a ride with one of his friends. And just looking at Google Maps, publicly available information, Jay was seen at 8:20 a.m. right around here by Ophelia the owner of the Airbnb, who is actually the sister of the owner of the Airbnb, her name is Ophelia, saw him at 8:20 a.m. right around this area, meaning Jay would only have been at the cafe Mirador at 8:30 a.m., not in the ravine, because you can see just by Google Maps here that it is a 25-minute walk from the Airbnb to this cafe. So Jay could only have been here. If Jay really would have gone off course into the area Chris said he did in the video, it would have been after 9 a.m., since the walk to that location would have been over an hour. That begs the question, how was Jay able to tell Lucy and Brad he was in the ravine at 8:30 in the morning, sliding down rocks, if he was only at the cafe and still on the highway and was nowhere close to the ravine that his phone last pinged in? So in my humble opinion, the timeline just doesn't add up, even though Chris attempted to debunk these conspiracy theories. The screenshot Jay had sent Lucy showed that whoever sent this to Lucy had full Wi-Fi signals and the battery was charging. I mean, you can see it in these screenshots that Lucy posted to the I Love Tenerife Facebook page right here. You can see that there's full bars of Wi-Fi and a battery charging. So this would directly contradict what Lucy said in her interview to Sky News, where she said that Jay's battery was at 1% in the mountains with no Wi-Fi. The screenshot also showed that whoever sent this to Lucy was right there when they say Jay disappeared. You can see in the green dot that someone was right where Jay was when he vanished in the ravine. And the time was 1:50 in the morning, which is a full 7 hours before they say his phone last pinged. All eyes are on Brad right now, as he was seen in the same sneakers Jay was wearing in the final Snapchat. So Brad was wearing very similar looking sneakers to Jay's final celebration of life. So was this Brad and Jay's final Snapchat that a lot of people think just doesn't add up? Like, why would someone take a Snapchat that is like this? Also, it's the same blanket that Lucy had at the hotel she was sharing that night with Jay, because in this final location shot, you can actually see that Lucy is on the phone for 8 minutes and 49 seconds with someone who has their phone completely charged with full Wi-Fi signals. So is this other person Brad? Like, are they in this moment staging a cover-up for what really happened to Jay? Many are now thinking that Jay had lost a bag of substances at the club, and there's even footage of Jay apparently on the floor losing this bag and comes up without a bag on him, as he was pictured throughout the night with one. So Jay couldn't pay back his debt for losing this bag. Then he was murked, according to Cybersleuths, and was placed at his final location. Lucy, in a BBC interview, slipped up and said Jay didn't even have his phone with him while he was in the mountains.
If you look around, you can literally see it's not safe for anybody to have been here without any of the supplies that you need. He's not got any hiking stuff, he's not got any sun cream, like he's not got his phone, he's in severe danger.
And Jay's alleged aunt revealed that when his phone was found, it was completely wiped of everything, and she was surprised because it didn't even include any of his vacation photos on his first time away from home. And then some reports actually said that his clothes were found placed right beside him. So did someone put his body there and wiped his phone of any evidence, put it next to his body as well as with his clothes? Many cybersleuths think that Jay was influenced into this job of selling substances at clubs in Tenerife by his friends. Even though Lucy has denied these claims, people are using, this travel and transportation byline as an example of what she really does for work, as well as just traveling all around the world with no job in sight. And then, of course, we have that picture of her with Abe with the same mole on the back that could potentially mean that she is one of these runners. And then we have Brandon Hodgie with his TikTok that literally has a plug on it, which is slang for what. Like, he helps to deal allegedly by these cybersleuths. Also says no rats, which is like you're not allowed to snitch, so to speak. Snitches get stitches, I think is the saying. And these young people are hired on behalf of kingpins to do their dirty work of selling at these clubs. They're provided bags and they just sort of hand out these, substances at these parties. And you can see in Abe's now deleted TikTok that he hangs around a lot of these young looking men. So you kind of have to wonder, like, what is really going on? Why are you always around these young men that look like, sometimes they're on something? Kind of have to wonder what was really going on here and why did he want this hidden. Cybersleuths say that he lost a bag and met a nefarious end. I mean, Debbie revealed that when she landed in Tenerife to look for her son, she was sent a ransom message before this case even became popular and was targeted by trolls trying to earn a buck. So was this ransom message true? And I mean, in Debbie's first interview, she pleaded that whoever had him to just let him go. Therefore, the GoFundMe, which was set up by Jay's friend Lucy, who we just talked about, apparently getting him involved in this lifestyle, she set it up immediately for the amount of £30,000. And that, some say, was allegedly meant to pay off what Jay owed for losing that bag. This theory that I'm talking about, where Jay lost a bag, was confirmed by an insider who allegedly worked with Jay's friends. It's revealed that even if Jay's family and friends wanted to go to authorities for help, they wouldn't be able to because the feds on Tenerife are controlled by these dealers. So these two men in the TikTok that Wax is watching got into an altercation at a bar. And when these two men were held up by the dealers with pew-pews, the authorities at Tenerife actually arrived and made these two men give their personal identification not to the cops, but to the dealers.
We was there, and there was quite a few of them there, and then 3 police cars pulled up, and they kept telling me and Dave to stop talking, and I'm going to Dave, it ain't never been so glad to see old Bill in all my life. And they all got out there, had their boots tucked in their trousers, and they started shaking hands and still showing each other their guns, and I looked at Dave and I went, ooh, that's bad. Right? The policemen, they're coming over and looking at us.
Took our passports.
Took our passports off of us.
Give our names and addresses to the gangsters. What hotel we're in. We're just still sitting here.
And I'm thinking, nah. And then
they gave their name and addresses to the gangsters. Oh my God, you would wonder why Lucy and them lot just panicked and covered the whole thing up, bro. You can't do anything.
Yeah, so these two men got into a bar fight and were getting held up by the gangsters. The police arrived and helped out the gangsters. The gangsters then followed these two targets to the hospital because one had stitches on his eye and were like watching them in the hospital, waiting for them to come out. And even when these two men went to the courthouse, the gangsters were outside keeping an eye on them as law officials just let this all happen. And so it's really these dealers who run the island of Tenerife, especially on the strip where Jay was last seen alive. And who's to say that this sort of justice system that lives by an eye for an eye didn't happen to Jay and is the reason he went missing after he lost that bag? I believe that it's fully possible that Jay was brought into this world through his friends to earn some extra cash and maybe a free trip to Tenerife and maybe, who knows, all across the Mediterranean. But unfortunately for him, his career was cut short after he lost a bag, and Jay had stolen a watch to pay off the debt he owed, but he was taken to this remote B&B to try and sell this watch. However, the watch may have ended up being fake. And by the way, I'm getting all this from Mark Williams Thomas, the private investigator, MWT, who says he stands by these claims. So Jay left the B&B, quote unquote, scared, according to MWT, and he was unfortunately murked. Then Jay's body was placed there to make everyone just be quiet about it and not hurt the massive tourism industry there, which is really just like this fairy tale land of like, you can just go there to party and everything will be fine. But that's not the truth, guys. Justice for Jay. Sound off in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe by hitting my face right above Miss Gabby. Bye, guys.